work and spots and things like that. So you have to have a good foundation. You have to know what you're doing. You know, the spot monkeys are fine, but unless you can put the wrestling behind it, you're going to be exposed pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, something we've talked about a lot here in the podcast has been NXT and what that's done to the indie scene. There's a thought that WWE is trying to kind of co-opt the indie wrestling fan with their own product. And you know, we were just talking about this, me and Dan earlier. It's gotten to the point that kind of the alternative to WWE is another WWE product. I've wondered, I mean, as a guy who is so involved in the indies and has helped to run an indie and NYWC, is it a good thing that fans are being turned on to that kind of style? Right.
The better wrestling does in general, the better it is for everybody. So if you can get another brand out there, NXT, and have them tour and draw crowds and be exposing people to wrestling, these guys, you know, before they're stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's just going to naturally progress and help everybody. And I don't see anything wrong with it. The more good wrestling, the better. And the more good wrestling, the better. The more people have places to go.
Yeah. You've got an eye for this kind of thing. What do you make of the guys that have come out of NXT? And I know it runs the gambit. On one end, you got guys who are coming through there but have years and years of experience internationally even. But then on the other extreme, you got a guy like Roman Reigns, who is very much just a WWE developmental creation. What do you make of the kind of education wrestlers are getting out of WWE's developmental system? I
mean, I think it's good, but you're learning their style, and that's it.
Right.
You know, if you watch the guys that have come out of NXT, I mean, who really, you know, who started there? You know what I mean? And who's made it to the main roster? Roman Reigns, maybe. Who else?
You know, the Ascension's on TV. Bray Wyatt, sure. The Ascension is on TV now. I don't know how good they are, but they're...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel bad for them guys. They got stuck with a bad gimmick.
Yes, yeah.
But, you know, it's the guys that have some experience already, that have taken their knowledge of learning here, learning there, putting it all together, and then going to the WWE and incorporating the WWE style into what they do. Those are the guys that have made it. I don't know. I mean, do they have more guys down there that are going to take off?
Right.
But you hear now the guys that are ready to come up. Okay, Sami Zayn. Okay, well, we know what he's done. Kevin Owens, we know what he's done. Virgil Devitt, we know what he's done. You know, so you know, Adrian Neville, we know what he's done. So I'm waiting to see the guys that they are started from the beginning. Those guys, I'm waiting to see what they do.
Right. It's a little disingenuous for WWE to try to take credit for, again, a guy like Sami Zayn or Kenta, those kind of guys who, you know, it's sort of like what happened with Daniel Bryan, where the earliest incarnation of NXT, when it was that kind of hybrid reality show on the Sci-Fi Network, and they introduced, you know, young Daniel Bryan, you know, trained by The Miz or whatever it was. He was his mentor. Yeah, Daniel Bryan, even at the time, was one of the most respected wrestlers in the world, even, and had been for a good 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, I think the jury's still out about what a true WWE developmental creation can do. Obviously, the prototype for that is Roman Reigns, who may or may not be headlining WrestleMania this year. What do you make of that? I mean, watching from afar, a lot of questions about whether he's ready or not. Again, that trainer's kind of view, looking at him, what do you see as pros? What do you see as cons, shortfalls, that kind of thing?
Shortfalls, he doesn't have the experience that the other guys have, and he doesn't know how to protect himself. Not physically, but, you know, protect his character, come across. And he also doesn't have the stroke to put, I think, his own spin on his character. Mm-hmm. I've heard him talk just like do interviews, and he's not on TV, just, you know, candid interviews. And he's very well spoken. He's really good. You know, and I just think it's when he was in the Shield that got him over. He didn't really talk. He was like the ass kicker. You know, now you have out here talking and kind of trying to be like John Cena, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with John Cena. But, you know, he's very polarizing. Yeah. You know, you have the guys who hate him and the kids and the girls who love him. And that's the kind of boat you're going to get in with Roman Reigns. And the smart people see that he's just not ready yet. That he's the one they didn't get him over. He was picked.
Right.
You know, where Daniel Bryan, people got him over. So it's just kind of like, okay, this is who it is, and this is what we're going to do with you. But he's the guy you're going to get. Almost like a Lex Luger type deal from 90,
that's
92,
the comparison
93.
that's made all the time. Lex Luger. I brought up Bobby Lashley as another guy who had a lot of the tools, but
he wasn't ready yet.
Right, and he wasn't the fans' choice. He was the company's choice. And I think fans kind of sense that, and maybe there's a built-in resentment right out the gate when, again, fans realize, you know, we didn't pick this guy, you did.
Right, and it's also like they just know he's not ready. You know,
yeah.
And especially when you have someone like Daniel Bryan, it's like, and they put themselves in this boat because they brought Daniel Bryan back too early.
Yeah, I agree. I talked about that too.
Yeah,
I don't know. They should have waited
until after the Rumble. And brought him back after the Rumble. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what
once
he
you brought
did.
Him back, you'd say, okay, this is who we want.
Yeah, I don't know what he did in those weeks before the Rumble that was so important that it couldn't have waited until after the Rumble.
It just didn't make sense. I said, oh, they brought him back. I guess he's winning the Rumble. And when he lost, it was like a very anticlimactic elimination from the Rumble, almost like it was a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't see it happen. I wasn't really paying close attention. But I go, what do you mean he's gone?
Do you have WWE Network? Is that where you watched the Rumble?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So has that been an opportunity for you? I know, again, they're kind of forced to embrace history more because they got all this content to fill. And I think I've seen you on some stuff, right? Have they brought you
I filmed a couple things, not the...
Yeah, I've seen you pop up from time to time on something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the stuff on the network or DVDs, that kind of thing. Is it a cool thing for you to be able to click on the WWE Network and have a lot of your old matches there?
I've never watched my stuff.
Never.
If I was in the studio with Paul, I'd watch it. And like when I first started, I would watch it. But when I first started, I was green as all hell, and my stuff was sloppy. So watching it, I was kind of like, I don't want to watch myself. So I never really watched my stuff. I let people tell me, hey, this is really good. You got to check this out. Or hey, this wasn't so good. I said, okay. I would learn that way. I never actually watched my stuff because I just feel like burying myself. There was no more Mikey Whipwreck person than me.
And you were talking about the developmental system and the way they're bringing up guys. I imagine it couldn't be any more different than the way you came up, right? I mean, in terms of the resources you had, that kind of thing. Did I read that? What were you doing for ECW before you started? I don't know if you were even a ring boy or were you like a camera guy or something?
Yeah, no, I would put the ring up. Like I wasn't even really working for them. My friend Sonny Blaze owed a ring, and ECW rented it. Mm-hmm. So I just went and put it up, and me and my buddy, we were just doing like high spots. And I think I did like a backflip off the top, landed on my feet. And Joey Styles saw it and called Paul Lee. And Paul goes, hey, do you want to wrestle? I said, okay. I had no gear. I had like tennis. I borrowed shorts from Donnie Allen. I had like sneakers because I didn't have to think I'd be working, 180 pounds. And that dragon shirt, I just happened to have it in my bag. So that's what I wore. And I only wore it because I was 180 pounds and I looked really tiny.
Yeah.
So I wore the shirt and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah. So what was the closest thing you got to real training? And somewhere along the line, some of the guys in ECW take you aside, maybe take some extra time before a show to teach you some things, or was it all kind of self-taught?
Most of it was self-taught. Sonny Blaze taught my friend Mike, Stormin Norman. He went to Sonny Blaze's school, and he paid to go. I was too small, and Sonny said, "You'll never make a dime in the business. You're way too small." And this was back in late 92, early 93. And at the time, that was definitely the case. 5'9", 180 pounds or so. So I would just clean up the school, and he would teach us how to wrestle. And really the only thing he actually could teach us, no offense to him, was to work the left. Mm-hmm. And we kind of made everything else up as we went along. But then in ECW, guys would pull me aside little by little. Hey, do this, do that, do this. But when it actually came to learning to wrestle and footwork, it was Taz and Perry Saturn.
Yeah, fellow Long Islander.
So they're the ones that fixed me.
I'm always curious to ask this from guys. Somewhat selfishly working for the magazines, PWI, but how important were the magazines for you coming up, and even for some of your guys now at NYWC. I know it's a very different era in terms of the relevance of the magazines, but I know the historically they have been career changers potentially for especially indie level talent.
Yep. I mean, for me, the magazines is where I look at myself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind looking at myself in pictures. The actual moving video part, not such a big fan of that. But, you know, to be in the magazines, because my mom would never watch me wrestle, ever. I don't think she's ever seen me, ever. She can't watch her son kill himself. She just can't do it. But I show her magazines and pictures and stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah, and didn't you place third for most inspirational wrestler on some of your?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm very bad. My memory is kind of shot. So I know that PWI jobbed me out of the PWI Rookie of the Year to 911 back in '94.
That's right.
And I'm very bitter about that. And I think Triple H is very bitter because I beat him out for the Wrestling Observer Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
In '94, which is probably why he didn't give me jobs as a trainer. So he's holding a grudge.
So,
and yes, I'm kidding.
So Paul Heyman makes the call to put the ECW championship around your waist. What does that do for your career? I mean, again, all these years later, I introduce you in this interview as former ECW champion. That follows you around everywhere. Was that kind of a career-making decision on Paul's part?
I think at the time it was, but the part now that everybody talks about is you pinned Steve Austin.
Right.
That's what I get. I mean, yeah, as a champion, it was cool. For me, at the time, it was like mind-blowing. Like I thought it was the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I pinned Steve Austin. That's the one that, that really did it.
Do you get a kick out of watching Paul on TV? I mean, what do you think of the work he's doing?
Oh, I love it, especially because he's almost like head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, so when he comes on, it seems like legit that he's really talking, the truth. He's in wrestling character and stuff, but it really seems like he is a head and shoulders above everybody else. It's like super entertaining.
Yeah.
It almost exposes everybody else.
Yeah, it's really true. And again, I've wondered if it's, and I asked him this once, is it an indictment on WWE's way of doing things? I mean, pretty clearly, I know he collaborates with writers. It's not to give him all the credit. I mean, the writers do have some say in what he goes out and says, but clearly he's mostly on his own, and it's so much better than anybody else. Yeah, because
he's had this character, more or less. He's tweaked it here and there. But he's pretty much had the same character since, 1980, whatever?
Yeah.
Late 80s, early 90s. And he's had a chance to master it. And he's just super good at it. And he just takes his real personality, and this is his real personality, and just amps it up, which is what everybody says to do. And you take a guy like Roman Reigns, you take his real personality, and, well, nobody knows what that is.
Yeah.
So we don't know what they're amping up.
Right. Yeah, and he's not the only one.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much everybody.
Yeah. I mean, he's sort of the newest example of it, but you could even look at guys like Randy Orton, who've been around, 12, 14 years, whatever it is, and I couldn't tell you a whole lot about Randy Orton's personality because his reputation is as one of these guys who really pretty closely sticks to the script, follows what the writer says, and there's a world of difference, between who he is and again who Paul Heyman is, and knowing that character.
Plus, it doesn't help that Randy Orton, they flip-flopped him so many times.
Yeah.
That you could never get like a full grasp on his personality.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Paul Heyman? I know a lot of guys from those ECW years have heat with him. I've heard Tommy Dreamer on some podcast doesn't have the nicest things to say about Paul, and other guys again can't speak highly enough about him.Here do you stand?
What can I say? Without Paul Heyman, there would be no me. So, did he lie to me? Yeah. Did he ever screw me over? No. Did the company owe me money? Yes. But I knew we weren't getting paid, but I made the decision to go to work every time. When I needed a break physically, and I needed, I wanted to make some money, and I went to WCW, he did give me his blessing to go. But when I was fed up in WCW, he brought me back. And gave me almost a bigger push. No, I wouldn't say a bigger push, but a really decent push, after I was back a couple months with the Devil and Tajiri. So, I mean, what can I say?
Yeah.
It's almost like the guys that really hate him and they still bury him and they complain and this, that. It's like, look, it's 15 years ago. Get over it.
Right. So from those stages, ECW really in its peak, and even WCW when they were doing huge business. These days, it's the NYWC Sportatorium in front of a few hundred fans. Is it as satisfying for you? Is the rush still the same? You mentioned coming through the curtain, or have things changed a lot in terms of how you feel and the fulfillment you get versus all those years ago?
It's different. I mean, not to sound negative, but you can't have guys that say they get the same rush they get in front of 200, 300 people that they get in front of 10, 15,000 people. They get the same rush they get in front of 70,000 people at WrestleMania. There's just no way. You know what I mean? So, do I enjoy it? Yes. Do I get a rush out of it? Yes. Is it different and more intimate? Yes. But it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just not. And it's not insulting to any independent wrestling company. It's just different. But you do get in front of a crowd of 300 people that you kind of get them. You know what I mean? And when you can get an entire room of people right where you want them, and you take them on the ride, and you make them bite, and then you kind of put a little twist to it, and you get them. I mean that is a rush, which is nice, but it's just not the same as in front of 1,000, 10,000. I think as the crowds get bigger, the rush should get bigger. I would think.
Yeah.
For me, it did at least. Not to say I didn't work as hard for the 300 that I did in front of the 30,000 or so at the Coma Dome or something, but.
Right. Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, you're certainly giving it your all, even after all of these years out there. Why don't you plug, again, NYWC and the big show coming up, Cycle Circus. Where can fans find out more, pick up tickets, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so February 28th in Deer Park, the Cycle Circus, as we've talked about. NYWCWrestling.com for all the event details, tickets, directions, all that good stuff. If you're squeamish and faint of heart, maybe you just
leave before the main event.
Yeah, or maybe come in March, maybe for aftermath.
By the way, my co-host Dan, who had to leave, says he's got some heat with you. He says you and the Sinister Minister set his notebook on fire some years ago.
I know in the wrestling magazine.
Yeah.
What do you think was going to happen? You brought me and the Devil around paper. Come on now.
You should have known better.
You should have known better.